So guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're hanging out with Mr. Nick Miner, and the intention today is to get the history. We get the lessons learned, we get the events that have happened over time that have shaped what has been happening in our beautiful country, the county of Uasin Gishu. So today we're hanging out with Mr. Nick, and before probably begin, as you can see over there are very beautiful calves that are going down to meet their mothers. Yeah, one is looking at us, is like, what's happening up there? So today, join me as we begin the interview or the talk. In fact, it will be hanging out with Mr. Nick, and we will dissect things that have happened in the past and take you with us. Thank you guys, and join me.
Oh, thank you. Welcome.
Well, thank you,
Come
Nick.
closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please, we are in the natural setting here.
Yeah.
So the cow pies,
Yeah. It's beautiful.
the grass, everything.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick, for hosting us here today.
Thank
I think
you.
we've,
You're most welcome.
yeah, for those who've not seen our first episode, we've been touring Nick's farm. He's shown us amazing trees. He's shown us beautiful machinery that are working. And please go in and see our first episode before you click on this one, so that you get into the mood of what we are going into. So today, as mentioned, we are hanging out with Nick Miner in this beautiful place. Nick, tell us about this place.
Okay. As we had mentioned earlier, this is Tarakwo. Tarakwo is actually it's actually a location. Eh?
Yeah.
But the location got the name from the burnt forest area and this place,
Yeah.
Tarakwo. Tarakwo is actually is a tree. Tarakwo in Kikuyu.
Yeah.
And it has Tarakwo in virtually
Cedar
every.
in
Yeah,
English.
it's a pencil cedar.
Pencil cedar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a young one here. You
Okay.
can see this one in the
There's one there.
background.
Yeah. That's the Tarakwo
Yes.
tree.
So this is where we are. But it has an history.
Okay.
We were. This is a farming community,
Okay.
and it's not just a coincidence that it is a farming community.
Mm-hmm.
Its history goes back. I think we had mentioned that the Sirikwas lived here before.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the
Who are the Sirikwas? You know, for the guys who don't know,
Yes, the Sirikwa.
yeah, it's named after that famous Sirikwa
Yeah,
hotel.
there's
in
hotel,
town, yeah.
but it is actually a people that lived on this land.
Okay.
It stretched from Mount Kenya all the way to the boundaries of Uganda,
Okay.
and down into Tanzania.
Okay.
So the Sirikwa actually lived here
Okay.
before historical events changed.
Okay.
The Maasai came
Okay.
and rooted them out.
So it was the Sirikwa
It
first?
was the Sirikwas first.
Yeah. What character is them? Probably for those guys who might not.
I think
from what
because,
you've had.
they were actually nomadic group.
Okay.
But they were unique. They were a bit unique. You see, they actually built the houses they built had a permanence
Wow.
in it,
Okay.
because it took a lot of effort. Unlike the thatched houses that you can put up in maybe a day or two,
Yeah.
this one required required excavation.
Excavation. Yeah. With probably minimal tools.
Yes, with whatever tools that they had.
Yeah.
Prehistoric tools.
Yeah.
And then they lined the walls. They actually put stones around it to about almost 2 meters.
Yeah.
An interesting thing is they never really roofed.
Okay.
Or we don't know.
Yeah. Probably we don't know. Yeah.
We don't know. We
Yeah.
don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But there are people who've done research on them.
Yeah.
Anthropologists and paleontologists and others. In
Yeah.
fact, we had people who were looking. Unfortunately, I was not here. My workers were here.
Yeah.
They were looking for the Sirikwa holes. Unfortunately, the lady that they found didn't know what they were.
Okay. They were from which country? Locally?
They were from the museums of Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Okay.
if they ever get to see this channel,
Yeah.
I welcome them back, because we have a lot. Once we finish our little discussion here,
Yeah.
we will see one which is in these bushes.
We'll take a
inside
walk
there.
and
we'll walk there.
see
You can see
probably a typical
how it was.
Sirikwa home.
Or how it used to
How
be.
it used to be,
but
yes.
without the stones. The stones were removed and
Yeah.
used for construction.
Wow.
That's what they used it to construct the church. The
Oh, really?
IC church.
Up there?
Yeah, up there.
Okay.
My dad came and asked for it.
Yeah.
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 So it began with the Sirikwas, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there were other people before that.
Yeah.
And then the Sirikwa, then the Maasai, the Uasin Gishu Maasai.
Uasin Gishu.
Uasin Gishu.
There's a, funnily enough, there is a meaning of Uasin Gishu. You know, we use it right now, but I think there is a meaning to that.
Yeah, yes, there is.
Gishu, I think, is water. I'm not very sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
it has water.
Yeah. I'm told, I remember, there's an old man who told me that Uasin Gishu means the river with black stones.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's the stones that you see
Oh,
here.
yeah.
You see, this is actually this farm. As we say the history.
Yeah.
You can see they are grey.
Okay. Yeah.
All this.
Yeah.
And they have they are spotted.
Yeah.
And they have in Nandi we would call it koilege.
Koilege.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
They are
Dotted.
spotted.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are spotted, and they have lichen and everything.
Yeah.
So, but and we'll delve into the name later. But since we've mentioned the black stones,
Yes.
If you go on the riverine valleys,
Yes.
all these stones are there, and they're actually dark.
Very dark, especially like the Sosiani River. If you go there as you drive towards Eldoret, the stones that are there are very dark. Even our farm here, apparently, now I remember.
They are. Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
And it's the same color as this.
Okay.
Yeah, our cat is back.
He's really enjoying the vlog, yeah? So now the Maasai, so the other guys have left, the Maasais are back now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the Maasais came.
Yes.
And then, and the Nandi, the Nandi then were in the Lesos, Nandi Hills area, going to Aldai.
Yeah.
That's where the Nandis used to be.
Okay.
And they would bring the animals to graze into the western part of the Uasin Gishu.
Okay.
But then over time, because this was the time they were fighting for pasture.
Yeah.
Most of the Sirikwa actually were assimilated into the Nandi.
Okay.
Well, this is not historically correct.
Yeah.
I think we will do one which we'll probably delve into the history of the Nandi, and we'll get the experts in it, like Dr. Sambu and Godfrey Sang, my very knowledgeable and esteemed friends who can give us the history of that.
The actual,
Yeah, but then, but just as an overview, there was always conflict between all these nomadic groups, pastoralists.
Yeah.
And the Maasais had an intestine war.
Yes.
The Naivasha, the Laikipia, and the Uasin Gishu. And eventually the Uasin Gishu was overpowered and they were weakened.
Okay.
But there's a very interesting history before that.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that I had postulated myself.
Yeah.
Anthrax.
The anthrax
disease
that affected the cows, huh?
Yes, that affected the cows.
Yeah.
Anthrax came into Africa from India.
Wow.
And Pakistan.
Okay.
After the partitioning of Africa, the English were trying to take over the colonies. And their armed forces came in through, I think, Djibouti.
Djibouti, yes.
Yes. And they had to bring food for them. And one of it was for meat. They imported animals from the subcontinent of India.
Okay.
Those animals came with anthrax.
Wow.
And it quickly spread and affected wild animals. This was in mid-1880s.
Okay.
And then the disease spread and came until the Uasin Gishu through the wild animals.
Okay. The antelopes, the gazelles.
Yes, most of the herbivores.
And the waterbucks.
Yes,
probably.
The herbivores.
So
what happened, eventually, the Kalenjin community, and including the Maasais, lost their animals.
Wow.
And the Nandi sequestered themselves to the hills in Nandi. And the Maasais became weakened. And soon the Laikipia and the Naivasha Maasai came and finished off the Uasin
Gishus now.
Yes.
Okay.
And then they also realized that this disease that was killing their livestock was prevalent in the Uasin Gishu plateau. So everybody avoided it.
So everybody ran away from the Uasin Gishu plateau.
So now, come 1895, with the British East Africa Company starting their foray into East Africa, when they now came in to colonize, they actually found this land completely desolate.
Okay. Wow.
So I've always postulated that colonialism the settlement of the white man on the Uasin Gishu was abetted by anthrax.
But you're right, because I bet that the source of their food at that time was blood and milk.
Yeah, milk, yes.
Without which now you can't survive.
Meat.
And meat, yes. Blood, milk, and meat.
And also wealth.
Oh, yes.
It was because you needed to have wealth. You wouldn't marry. You wouldn't be anybody. So by the time the British were coming in, the nations, the pastoral nations, now in what is Kenya, were actually weakened because of that disease. Except the Nandis who managed to escape, they sequestered themselves into the Nandi Hills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then that also has an impact on the history of the Nandi itself.
Yes.
So we will visit that some other time.
Wow.
So the British came.
Yes. That was 1895.
1895.
Okay.
And soon the British government took over. The British Crown government eventually took over now the colony itself. The company was having problems here and there. And then in 1920 we became a colony. The British colony. Before it was a protectorate. But before that, once the white man had established themselves from about 1907, they invited the farmers. They built the railway first. And then now they invited the farmers so that the railway could pay for itself. And
now,
that's
while you're there at the railway, I have an interesting story of how the British did not penetrate the railway to the Nandis, you know?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Of course, the Nandi fought the British from traversing their land. And they had to change plans and eventually use the Nyando Plateau to eventually reach Kisumu. Because their target was to reach Uganda. The Nandi, so the 10-year war that began from 1895 that culminated in the death of the assassination of the Orgoyot Koitalel Samoei.
Orgoyot Koitalel Samoei. For those people who don't know Orgoyot, these were the smart guys who, in my belief or in my explanation, is they use nature, they use intuition to foresee things that were to happen in future, and people used to go to them to go and seek for advice on matters weather, matters war, as is put it, and prosperity. So that's how they had to kill him, because he was their brains on seeing the future.
And also they had, as you said, war. They were like the commander in chief as well. And they were spiritual leaders. So there were all these things all wrapped into one. And we have an association with that lineage, which we'll explain
later.
How that links our family, but not under that specific family. But the lineage. So that's interesting. So this land now, after the demarcation of most of Kenya, if you've had Eldoret, actually it's Eldare.
Eldare,
but it eventually became Eldoret.
Kalenjins cannot pronounce Eldare.
So what happened? The demarcation was done. And part of this land was also part of that which was demarcated. This was actually Farm 53.
Farm 53.
Yes, you've had Eldoret. Nandi say Eldoret.
Sisibo.
They also say Sisibo.
Sisibo. What's the meaning of Sisibo?
Sisibo now. The geographical location of where Eldoret is today began as a farm. It was farm. The way I've just said, this was
Farm
53. That was Farm 64.
Farm 64.
Yes, and it had also a coincidence that before the railway reached Eldoret, Londiani was the closest spot where you could reach the railway. It was exactly 64 miles.
When you mentioned that, the other day I went to visit my grandfather, who is about 98 years old. He mentioned to me the story between Londiani and the Sisibo. He mentioned a Sisibo. And he told me that at some point he was part of the entourage that was pushing the wagons that was being pulled by the steers.
The oxen.
The oxen. So you're right. So he mentioned to me, because I asked him, what is 64? So for him, he didn't even know the 64 farm. He told me they used to push the oxen 64 miles from Londiani Railway
to Eldoret.
Head. Yes, to Eldoret.
Yes,
wow.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, now that we've mentioned the railway got to Eldoret in 1924.
1924.
Yes, and to Kitale in 1926.
Wow.
So before that, they had actually to use the... And interestingly, that path goes through our other farm now.
Where we have the goats.
Yes, there's Burgay farm where you are now.
Okay.
Yeah, and we will go and try, and I'll show you where the path was, where the route was.
Wow.
So that's where they used to go through.
Yes.
Yeah. So interesting.
Wow.
So this is Farm 53. 53 was a land grant given to Kerita Syndicate.
Kerita Syndicate.
Yes, a group of 2 families that had come together.
Yeah.
And they took, it was about almost 7,000 acres.
Wow.
Yeah, this comprised what today we call Cap Naila, the Naila farm. It's Bayete farm.
Yeah, Bayete, which is down here.
Farm.
Yeah.
Ours, this farm.
Yes.
Till the Marabas.
Yes, Maraba up there.
And then what we call Kamngetuny today.
Kamngetuny.
And
Kamngetuny. And probably for my viewers, what is Ngetundo?
Yeah. Ngetuny is a lion.
It's a lion, eh?
So lions used to roam.
They used to roam here?
They used to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's on the other side. It's not visible from here.
Yeah.
But we will
by
visit.
The trees. Yeah.
We will do maybe a drone aerial photo and all that stuff.
Yes.
So Farm 54 was given to Farm 53. Actually, there were 2 farms, 53 and 54.
Yes.
54 is the Kamngetuny one.
Yeah.
But eventually they sold it to someone in about 1920, I think about 1922. They sold it to someone called John Buller. So they took their Farm 54, which is across the river from me.
Yeah.
You had seen the dam.
We've seen the dam, yeah.
Yes,
and there's a bridge
across the dam. Now, Buller is the one that built the original bridge. The original bridge.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been upgraded a bit now, but Buller is the one that established it.
All right.
So this one belonged now to the... it was called Dr. Walter Kilbe.
Walter Kilbe.
Kilbe. K-E-L-B-E.
Okay.
So Dr. Kilbe and the brother-in-law,
it
was called Arthur Cecil Roberts.
Arthur Cecil Roberts.
Yes.
Okay.
These guys came from South Africa. They came from South Africa, Kimberley. And interestingly, when dam was struck in Kimberley, they were the lot where the dam was discovered was part of their family land.
Oh. Wow.
Part of it.
Wow.
So they were actually a very loaded family. So it was the wife who was called Beatrix, who was married now to Dr. Kilbe. And the brother now, Arthur Roberts. The money came from their family.
So they had a diamond probably mine in South Africa to finance now the farming here.
I don't think it required a lot of money then.
At that time,
they were encouraging people to come in with their money to invest and clear and eventually make the land fruitful.
Okay.
So, but you really needed money to be able to do this.
Yes.
But there's a whole history of how the white people came, how they settled, and how they opened up the plateau, and eventually created the farms that we have.
Okay.
So the Kilbe family, in 1949, the Kilbe and the Arthur split.
Okay.
So the Kilbe took what is now part of our neighbors, ourselves, my uncle Talam, and the Maraba. That became
this one here,
Kerita, as part of the Kerita.
The Kerita syndicate that you mentioned,
Then the Bayete farm, it wasn't Bayete yet.
Yes.
Was taken now by Arthur Cecil Roberts.
Okay.
Yeah, they were in-laws.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Unfortunately, he died, and he's buried. One of these days we will go and I'll show you where his grave is.
Yeah.
He died.
Yeah.
So his widow.
Yeah.
His widow decided to cash out.
Wow.
So he sold the land to Naila.
Yes. Down here.
Yeah. He was Reynolds Naila.
Yeah.
And in 1949. And to Piet van Rensburg on the other side.
towards now Tarakwo?
Yeah, Tarakwo now, where my cousins are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they split the land into two and sold it out.
Okay.
And the lady went back to South Africa.
Okay.
So the Kilbes remained.
Yeah.
Soon, Dr. Walter Kilbe was a bit older.
Okay.
He was of the Kablelach age group, which is my age group. Which means that's 105 years back.
Another, so is your age group now on the other
105
side?
years ago, yeah. so he was a bit older. He married late.
Okay.
He was 51 when he got married.
Okay.
So he was a bit older.
Yeah.
And he was a physician.
Yeah.
He had retired to Mombasa, where he passed away and he's buried there. So the widow came back. They had 3 daughters and a son.
Okay.
Our land belonged to one of the daughters. She was called Joyce.
Okay.
The Maraba Talam one belonged to the son.
Yeah.
He was called Dudley Lick Kilbe.
Kilbe, yeah.
The neighboring farm was another daughter. She was called Molly Clare, married to Kenneth Horatio Greathead. And then the next one was the other daughter. I forget her name.
Yeah.
She died young. She was on a swing.
Yeah.
In 1938. Yeah. She was pregnant, a third child. She was 25 years of age.
Yeah.
Married to the Mills.
Yeah.
And the cord that was holding the seat of the swing snapped.
Yeah.
And she fell on her stomach.
Yeah.
Leading to complications that eventually killed her.
Wow.
So the baby and her were lost.
Wow.
And she's buried. She's buried.
So it's,
I know where the graves are.
Okay. One day we'll visit the grave, guys.
Yeah.
And probably before we continue, we will take a break to stretch. As you can hear, Nick is, I would say, is just unfolding story that nobody has ever written down. I think one day, personally, I want to open Nick's YouTube channel. He has stories, but today we are lucky to have him. We'll enjoy the content. When you come back from a break, we will go into the character syndicate and now go on with the story. I think Nick at some point showed me a photo of a house that was somewhere there.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he'll send to me. I'll put a clip of that house before we continue. Guys, we'll take a break and come back to you shortly. So guys, welcome back. As you can see, we've changed the location. I've had to put on a cap. Nick has a cap already. It's getting sunny, but it's very nice. It's not scorching hot. And we've come to a very nice location. And there's a tree that Nick will mention before we continue. Guys, enjoy. Please subscribe. Please like our video. Forward to friends. We don't charge you for forwarding it. And guys, if you subscribe, there's no charge you'll incur. You'll just be enjoying our content as we go on. So Nick, where are we here now?
Oh, now, this is interesting. We have a backdrop of these 2 trees.
Yeah.
Actually, they're actually shrubs.
Yeah.
They're called chorwet in Nandi.
Yeah.
They're sacred. Actually, they're sacred.
Yeah.
They are used to build where ceremonies are held. Like now, we are in the season for initiation for our boys.
Yes.
And I always host, every year I host a lunch for all of them.
Okay.
Last year, I will seek permission, then I can see one of the photos.
Yes.
You can't identify anybody because of
they already camouflaged,
things. Yeah.
Yeah, warriors in the making.
Yeah. So we do that.
Yeah.
So this is the season.
Yeah.
So these they say Libua bean.
Yeah.
So that creates the 2 of them create the backdrop together with whatever we have in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but it's just a coincidence.
Sure.
It's not that we had planned for that.
Yeah.
Yes. So we were talking about the history.
Yeah.
And I'd mentioned that the Kilbes had split the land the way we do.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
My own father bequeathed me this land. Together with my siblings, everybody has their portion.
Yeah.
Together with the others across. Though across, I have a presence there, but I purchased from him.
Okay.
So that's the only unique thing.
Yeah.
But and I'm very proud of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So and we will visit there because we still have wheat that's in the fields. Over there.
Okay.
I still have one field of wheat. The combine will be harvesting tomorrow. Maybe you'll capture that.
Yeah, tomorrow will surely come.
It's one of probably the worst crop I've ever had. But we'll discuss that later.
Yeah. Okay.
Coming back to the history.
Yes.
So this land I'd mentioned had been given to Joyce, a daughter of Dr. Walter Kilby and the wife Beatrix. Eventually they decided, there was a lot of dynamism during that period.
Okay.
Her and her husband, he was called Jeffrey Harvey.
Okay.
Jeff Harvey. They decided to relocate to Thika. So they sold this land to a gentleman that was called Sandy Ferguson.
Okay.
Rutherford, no, not Ferguson, but
Rutherford.
Sandy Rutherford.
Yeah.
Rutherford is one that established our farmhouse, and you'll be able to
Down
visit
there.
one of these days.
Yes, yes.
It's not in the best of shapes. It needs a lot of renovation.
Yeah.
It was a very poor. These were very rudimentary houses.
Okay.
Yeah, but we will conserve it.
Sure.
We will
the wooden one, eh? The wooden duck.
No, not the wooden one. This is the brick one.
Oh, the brick one up there.
Yes, but it had interest. I have photos of it how it looked before.
Okay.
Yeah, but my dad tried to upgrade it.
Yeah.
But it never could come to the standards that you need today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sandy eventually sold this land.
Okay.
To now the son-in-law of the Kilbys, who are the neighbors.
Okay.
To Kenneth Horatio Greathead.
Okay.
So this actually belonged to Kenneth Horatio Greathead. And the land that was on the other side belonged to his wife. Where they lived actually belonged to his wife.
Okay.
So they, and then in 1961, my dad entered into negotiations to acquire it because of the independence.
That was 3 years before the
that was before independence.
Yeah.
So it was a successful purchase.
Yeah.
My mother, I was not yet born.
Yeah.
My parents and family, that included your father-in-law, were living in Lelmokwa.
Okay.
Yeah, a very progressive group of people.
Lelmokwa means a white throat.
Yes.
Lelmokwa.
Yeah. So these guys, a very progressive group, actually settled the Uasin Gishu and into Kitale.
Wow.
And one of these days I'll name whom they were and try to find their history, each individual.
Yeah.
So in February 27th, 1962, my dad bid farewell to his friends and neighbors in Nandi and started the journey.
All right.
With the livestock.
That was cows, basically, yeah?
Yeah, cows by road.
Yeah.
Until Cheptiret.
Cheptiret, which is down there.
The Rotich family, that's where they camped.
Yes.
Then on February 28th, 1962, they moved into our new home.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And I was the first child. I would have been the second child, but I was the first child to be born once they moved here.
Okay. Wow.
Sometimes past mid 1960s. I probably shouldn't say that. I'm getting very old, I guess.
But you're keeping young and fit anyway.
Yes.
Working in the farm, I think, keeps you going and keeps you fit.
Yes, it does. It does. And of course, my professional work as well, which I had put on hold. I'll probably give another stab for 5 years before I fully retire.
Okay.
Now, Mzee was a dairy farmer.
Yes.
And what brought him here was a very interesting thing.
Okay.
He was the first African farmer to be granted the tender to supply milk to what is now KCC. And he had been given a quota. They operated in a quota system.
Okay.
So he realized that his animals were going to dry. And he needed animals that were that were lactating so that he can continue producing milk. So he came from Nandi to a farmer here called Pip Wilkinson. It was a Mzungu, yes. The land today is called Chemusian.
Chemusian across.
On the other side.
Chemusian where they settled the IDPs.
The IDPs, yes. That was part of it.
Yeah.
This is now where the Camurans, it was owned, that land was initially owned by the Great Rift transporters.
Okay.
So my dad came. And when he went to see the Mzungu farmer, this was about 1959, 60.
Yeah.
the wife had traveled to Nairobi.
Okay.
By train. Then.
Yeah.
It was train.
Yeah.
And so he told him he can't sell animals without the wife being present.
Okay.
Actually, if you want to succeed in dairy,
that was a very wise decision.
Involve your wife.
Yeah, unless you want trouble.
Yes, and it's a maternal thing.
Yeah.
Women actually do extremely well.
Sure.
With dairy.
For those who didn't see our silage making video, they need to go and see. And we didn't name names, but the silage belonged to a lady for sure.
Yes. She had given me permission to name her.
Yeah.
But I think what we'll do, we'll visit her.
Sure, yeah, we'll visit her one day and just sit down with her. And,
but she's a very known figure. She's a very popular figure.
Yeah.
Nationally.
Yeah.
And a very tough woman.
Yeah.
And very successful in her career and also in agriculture enterprise and other things.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but she had given me an okay that we can actually name her. But I won't let it be a surprise.
All right. So now your dad is at the Camerons,
she couldn't leave. The lady was arriving the next day.
Okay.
So he chose to sleep.
Okay.
And by all coincidences, at our other farm now, where my brothers are, there's a shop that belonged to the person who had the bus that brought him. So he gave him lodgings there.
Yeah.
So he slept.
Yeah.
So what he told me is that when the crocs would crow at about 2, 3 in the morning, he would be awake.
Okay.
But that day, he woke up. He opened the window. There had no window panes. These were wooden windows. When he opened, it was 9.
Which was not part of him.
So well. It was not. It was completely unlike him.
Yeah.
So he told that guy to, if
the
Wazungus ever leave, he would wish to get the land around here.
Wow.
Because he slept so well, like a baby.
He connected very well with the land.
Completely.
Yeah.
And, of course, he eventually got this land.
Okay.
Which then belonged to Kenneth, or rather Ken Greathead. Kenneth Horatio Greathead.
Yeah.
They immigrated to Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, and their family is there, and we're in contact with them.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have a lot of very interesting pictures which I'll share
Sure.
of that family from the time about 19... I think the earliest photos are about 1920 something.
Okay.
Yeah, and I will share the pictures.
Yeah, we'll make sure we pin the pictures in between our video for you to see and appreciate probably the journey and the transformation that this land has gone through, and for us to definitely appreciate what our grandparents did. Of course, I think with Nick, we will get more videos to refocus on what they really did for them to acquire all this. You know, it's not, they didn't inherit for sure. It's not like, I think we are lucky to inherit from our parents, but them, they toiled, they worked, they had to break sweat and blood to get this.
Yes.
Yes.
So eventually they settled in. He was a dairy farmer. Yeah. He was a very successful dairy farmer. He was extremely successful.
Wow.
And he worked hard. And we are very glad that we were born into the family we were born in, because it was not a choice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not a choice.
Yeah.
We found ourselves born here.
Yeah.
And this is, in our family tradition, this is what we are extending.
Sure.
And hopefully those who will come after us will be able to conserve what we have.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
What he told us, Mzee, before he passed on. He passed on December 30th. 2020. And he always emphasized this. You know, he always said that he didn't want to suffer, because he came from what would be equivalent to poverty today.
Sure. Yeah.
But he really worked hard.
Yeah.
And of course it's a coincidence that he had succeeded then.
Yeah.
And the Wazungus left.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, all this was available.
Yeah.
And he qualified to be able to purchase it.
Yeah.
So there is, of course, the hard work.
Yeah.
But there's also that coincidence of the departure of the white settlers to make all this land available at that time.
I think Nick, yes, it is a coincidence, but also as a lesson, we need to position ourselves towards opportunities most of the time. Because as you mentioned, he came all the way from Lelmokwa to that land.
Yeah, the Pip Wilkinson.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
That is a long journey at that time.
Yes,
there were no vehicles. There were no borders.
And also, remember that he had won this contract to be able to supply the milk.
Yeah.
So it was by merit.
By merit, yes.
Yes, it was by merit.
Yeah.
And that merit has a backstory.
True.
which we will probably delve in again in another session.
Sure.
And coming back now to the Pip Wilkinson, remember where he slept?
Slept at night and woke up at 9.
Now, the land then was owned, what is now, we call it Burgay.
Burgay.
Yeah, it's part of our estate.
Yeah.
That was bought by my dad and his very good friend. They are both departed.
Yeah.
Elisha Busiene. It's a big property.
Yeah.
Was then owned by Peyton. Colonel Peyton.
Yeah.
Most of the farms, you hear Major something, Colonel that.
Yeah.
These were gifts by the British government to their soldiers after the First World War and also after the Second World War.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that the Peyton farm was at that time had been sold to Sir Derek Askin.
Derek Askin, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that why it's called Askins? Huh?
Yeah, that's why it's called Askins.
Yeah.
Now, Sir Derek Askin had a son. He was called Francis Askin. He was the one who was domiciled here.
Yeah.
But a very interesting, since we are Kalenjin, and our profess in athletics is known the world over.
Yes, yes.
Sir Derek Askin donated the land on which the Nyayo Stadium is built.
In Nairobi?
Yes.
Kasarani?
Not Kasarani, at Wilson, there, Nyayo Stadium.
Oh, the Nyayo one next to the CBD opposite Ota, Kenya.
Yes, that one.
Or Sifao right now.
Yes. And then, interestingly too, he was the founder of Athletics Kenya. So for those of you who are in athletics, they probably my friend, my very good friend Ken Boyd has been writing history about athletics in Kenya. His dad was a great athlete and also an administrator in various government, the Kenyatta government and also in the Moi administration. But also, and he was an athlete, one of the first people the first cohort to win medals for Kenya, or at least to represent Kenya, then before it was independent, and and opened ways for the likes of the legend Kipchoge, both Kipchoge's, Eliud, and Kipkeino, and all the other athletes that we have today. So the Derek, Askin, our farm there now, where my dad slept. In the late 1960s, the son now Francis, the father implored him to move. He moved to Naivasha Sanctuary Farm. Sanctuary Farm is still under the Askins. He went and bred horses and has a wonderful dairy animals.
Is that where Morendat, or is it next to Morendat, or I've seen next to the Lamea?
Yes, there. Yeah. Or on South
Lake Road.
Moi South Lake.
Yeah, Moi South Lake Road.
It's somewhere. Yeah. So now it's run by the two sons. The Askin sons, which is Guy and Clive Askins. They are there. They're still there and they also have a hospitality business. Going on there.
Come closer. Looks like you went very far.
So
there, you can see us.
So in 1961, I think 1972, there was a lot of stuff that went around the purchase of that land. Eventually, my dad and his partner purchased it, and that's where now my brothers are, and I'm also there in a small way. And I think I'd mentioned that earlier. And it was a dairy farm as well. So it continued as dairy. And they worked until they paid off the debt. And then they sort of split. And my dad bequeathed his sons over there. And I have a small portion there as well. And it's a beautiful land.
Indeed it is.
And we will pay a visit. I think you've done something on it.
Yes, I've done something on it where if you go back to my other vlogs, we've done dopa and goat farming. They're doing amazing. As you mentioned, that place is just amazing. It's very warm.
It's warm.
It has a lot of herbs that I think we will, over time, document, because I've gone in there and I've seen trees that are amazing. And when I follow my goats, I see them chewing specific trees that today, I think we'll do, either today or tomorrow, we'll do another documentary of how to make morsik. I've seen the itet tree there, and the goats love it.
And there are so many of them. And I think we will do a walk around as we finished our conversation, we will identify some of them, medicinal plants and all that. I have so many of them in this hill. And there's a section further, if you pan to the left, to my left, which is your right. In there, you can see it's completely pristine.
It's untouched for sure.
I'm going to conserve it fully. That's where we have the Tarakwo hole.
Oh yeah, that you mentioned at the beginning of the video.
Yes, and it's called in Nandi or in Kalenjin. It's called Mukwoniot or Mukwonik in plural.
Okay, Mukwoniot.
Mukwoniot is a single one. And we had seen one down there.
Down here,
And even this depression here was one. There are so many of them all over, and as I said, it's like a Swiss cheese or a moonscape. Or all over, dotting this place. It's great.
Wow.
So eventually now that's where we reach. After the acquisition of this land. And our being born and being raised, being educated. It's been a great privilege.
Indeed.
I must appreciate that because not everybody has this opportunity. We thank God, and we thank our parents also for their hard work, for what they've left for us.
Indeed.
Because we are also professionals in other fields. If we can merge the two, our professional work and run our farms professionally and everything, it's a wonderful life.
Indeed,
and few people get to enjoy this kind of a thing. The profile of this land begin with a hill, which this is about 92 meters high, against the dam.
From the reference is the dam,
Yes, from here to where the dam is. The breadth of this land is about 2 kilometers. The breadth and the length, the entire length of the Kapchipsiangut property is about 3.4, slightly about 3.4 kilometers, the length, and the breadth is on this particular section is about 2 kilometers. So having that kind of space is wonderful.
True.
And then, as I said, from the hill here, the top here, and this is the highest point all over. It's only that because of the trees.
It literally dominates the views. You can have a look at.
I used to see Eldred lights before the people planted
the skyscraper and
planted trees. But before. You could see all the way to Ngeria Junction.
Even from my home, I could see this hill, and I would see the vehicles driving by on a very small window. When you are in Kaptirown, the Troon,
the
Troon farm over there. You're able to.
It was called Hilton Farm.
Hilton Farm.
No, Mimosa. I think Mimosa.
Mimosa farm. So you could from Mimosa farm to here, you could see that this high point here with the lorries passing by.
And you can see it's actually you have to incline yourself to be able to see. And you can see from here. All the way you can see Cap Kangani, Cap Sabet, from the top here, especially where the pylon is. You see where the pylon is. If you climb that pylon, you'll see amazing things.
Wow.
So as you go down, as we profile it, it goes. I have the two. We have the Soin. This is the Waldai, and then the Tinet, which is the hip. I have those the 3 zones. And then I have a smaller dam that's fed by a spring.
Down here?
Down in between. It's actually, we will, as we continue this conversation over time, we will visit all these places. It's extremely beautiful. But this year, we have an amazing crop. We say thanks to our president for the subsidy, for the fertilizer.
Indeed.
And then we will see what they are staking as they are staking up here. We'll just, as we wind up, we'll visit first the Tarakwo thing, the
Mukwoniot there. And then we look at the trees.
And then we go over to the guys who are staking.
So guys, thank you very much for, I would say thank you very much for just giving us time. Thank you very much for looking at this episode. I also thank Nick for his time. This is not the first thing, this is not the first and the last. We'll be doing more. We'll be delving into other topics. I know Nick has a lot of information that today we've had to cut for you to enjoy, but surely we will be able to do other episodes. For anybody who needs any information, we just vlog about it, please drop it in the comment section, like, share, and as a bonus, as Nick has mentioned, he'll give us an honor to tour where those guys used to live, the Mukwoniot or the cave. It's not the cave.
It's just I guess
excavation. So we'll have a look at that. Then we enjoy and sample the trees. He'll take us through the natural trees now, the medicinal ones, I would say why they're there, why he's left it like that. Then we'll have a look at the activities in the farm, a regular farm activity in the month of November in Uasin Gishu. Thank you very much, guys, and enjoy.
Thank you.